Everyone in the town of Belford agreed on exactly three things. The weather changed its mind every hour, gossip traveled faster than the river, and no one, absolutely no one, understood why Arjun Malhotra did the things he did. At 32, Arjun was successful by every measurable standard. He ran the most profitable logistics company in the county, owned a renovated colonial house on Maple Street, drove a car so quiet it made people nervous, and possessed a calm, observant face that made strangers feel both safe and slightly judged. What confused the town wasn't his success. It was his refusal to behave like a man who enjoyed it. He didn't brag. He didn't flirt recklessly. And worst of all, at least according to Belford's unofficial council of aunties, he rejected the most beautiful woman in town without blinking. That woman was Rhea Sharma, the younger of the Sharma sisters, whose beauty was so unanimously agreed upon that it had become a local fact, like gravity or taxes. Rhea had eyes that photographers begged to capture, laughter that turned heads in cafes, and an effortless charm that made people lean in when she spoke. Her elder sister, Meera Sharma, on the other hand, was known for very different reasons: sharp tongue, awkward posture, unfashionable clothes, and a resting expression that suggested she was constantly disappointed in humanity. Meera was the sister people tolerated, not admired, and certainly not loved. And yet, on a bright Sunday morning that smelled faintly of bakery bread and scandal, Arjun Malhotra walked into the Sharma household and made a choice that would detonate Belford's social ecosystem like a dropped plate in a silent room. The Sharma house itself was a character in its own right. Loud, crowded, always warm, and permanently scented with cardamom, Mrs. Sharma ruled the kitchen like a general with a rolling pin, while Mr. Sharma hid behind newspapers and selective hearing. Rhea was seated gracefully on the sofa that morning, dressed in pastel blue, hair cascading effortlessly, scrolling through her phone with practiced elegance. Meera sat at the dining table nearby, hunched over a laptop, glasses slipping down her nose, muttering angrily at a spreadsheet like it had personally insulted her ancestors. When Arjun arrived, Rhea stood first, smile blooming instantly while Meera barely glanced up, assuming correctly that no one ever came to see her. The pleasantries were exchanged. Tea was poured, and Mrs. Sharma's eyes gleamed with the unmistakable hope of a mother who had already picked wedding saris in her mind. Everyone assumed the conversation would follow the natural order of things. Polite talk, shy smiles, and then a proposal directed squarely at Rhea. Even Meera assumed this, which was why she nearly choked on her tea when Arjun cleared his throat and said, calmly and clearly, "I've come to ask for Meera's hand in marriage." Silence didn't fall. It crashed. Mrs. Sharma froze mid-pour, tea spilling, dangerously close to disaster. Mr. Sharma lowered his newspaper for the first time in years. Rhea's smile didn't fade immediately. It simply stopped working, like a light bulb flickering before going out. Meera looked up slowly, eyes wide, genuinely checking whether this was some kind of elaborate prank or a symptom of stress-induced hallucination. Arjun, meanwhile, sat perfectly still, hands folded, expression neutral, as if he had just asked for sugar instead of salt. The first sound came from Mrs. Sharma, a sharp, confused laugh. "Meera?" she repeated as if testing the word for correctness. "You mean Rhea?" Arjun shook his head once. "No, I mean Meera." The room erupted instantly, questions overlapping, disbelief turning into interrogation. Why Meera? What about Rhea? Was this a joke? Had Arjun lost a bet? Meera herself finally found her voice thin and incredulous. "Are you feeling okay?" she asked. "Because if this is pity, I don't want it." Arjun met her gaze steadily. "It's not pity," he said. "It's preference." That single word, preference, would haunt Belford for weeks. Within hours, the story spread faster than wildfire in dry grass. By evening, even the bakery owner knew that Arjun Malhotra had rejected the town, beauty, and chosen her difficult sister instead. People speculated wildly. Some said Arjun was secretly cruel and wanted to humiliate Rhea. Others claimed Meera had bewitched him with black magic or emotional manipulation. A few suggested Arjun was simply strange and that rich men often were. Meera, meanwhile, locked herself in her room that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene again and again. She wasn't flattered, she was suspicious. Her entire life had trained her to expect disappointment, not sudden desire. She had grown up in Rhea's shadow, praised for responsibility but never beauty, admired for intelligence but never warmth. Compliments made her uncomfortable. Affection felt like a trap. So when Arjun returned the next day with a box of sweets and a calm request to speak with her alone, Mira crossed her arms and prepared for battle. They sat on the small balcony overlooking the street, where children played cricket and neighbors pretended not to stare. "Why me?" Mira asked bluntly, wasting no time. Arjun leaned back slightly, considering. "Because you argue with logic, not volume," he said. "Because you don't pretend to like people you don't. Because when everyone else laughs to be liked, you stay silent to be honest." Mira snorted. "Those are terrible reasons to marry someone." "They're excellent reasons," Arjun replied. "For me." She studied him carefully, searching for arrogance, mockery, or condescension, and found none. Instead, she found curiosity, real unsettling curiosity. "You know everyone thinks you're insane now," she said. A faint smile touched his lips. "I've lived with that assumption for years," he said. "This just confirms it publicly." Despite herself, Mira laughed, a short, surprised sound that escaped before she could stop it. It startled both of them. Arjun noticed. He always noticed things. Over the next few weeks, Belford watched in disbelief as Arjun didn't retreat, didn't explain himself, and didn't chase Ria once the initial shock faded. Instead, he showed up consistently for Mira, bringing her coffee when she worked late, listening patiently as she complained about incompetent colleagues, walking beside her without trying to impress her. Their interactions were awkward at first, often blunt, sometimes unintentionally hilarious. Mira had no filter. Arjun had no tolerance for drama. When she told him he dressed like a corporate brochure, he nodded and asked for suggestions. When he pointed out that she hid behind sarcasm to avoid vulnerability, she told him to mind his business and then thought about it all night. Ria, meanwhile, struggled quietly. She wasn't cruel or entitled, but rejection was unfamiliar territory. She had grown up admired, chosen, desired. Arjun's decision wasn't just a romantic loss, it was an existential puzzle. Why wasn't she enough? She smiled in public, accepted compliments, and pretended everything was fine. But Belford's whispers followed her everywhere. Mira noticed this too, and guilt twisted in her chest. She confronted Arjun one evening, accusing him of hurting her sister unnecessarily. "I didn't choose against Ria," he said gently. "I chose for you." Mira hated how reasonable he sounded. She hated even more that she believed him. As weeks turned into months, the laughter between them grew easier. They argued constantly about movies, food, ethics, and whether pineapple belonged on pizza, but the arguments ended in understanding, not resentment. Arjun admired Mira's integrity. Mira admired his steadiness. He saw beauty in her expressions, her fierce loyalty, the way she softened around children and animals when she thought no one was watching. She saw safety in him, something she had never prioritized, but suddenly couldn't ignore. Belford slowly adjusted its narrative. The jokes became curiosity. The skepticism became reluctant acceptance. And Mira, the woman everyone had dismissed, found herself standing at the center of a story no one had predicted, not even herself. Yet beneath the humor, the misunderstandings, and the growing affection, doubt still lingered. Mira wondered when the illusion would break, when Arjun would realize he'd made a mistake. Arjun wondered how long it would take for Mira to believe she was chosen not by accident, not by rebellion, but by love. And as Belford buzzed with speculation, one truth quietly took root. Sometimes, the heart doesn't want what everyone agrees is beautiful. It wants what feels real.